Hariyo, Hariyo. Hello, my friends. Nearby, they are busy with a chainsaw. Fortunately, not all the time. They cut some bushes, then collect them, then cut again. So we may have chainsaw background every now and then. Just the other side of the house, the neighbors have been screaming at each other on the top of their voices. I hope it doesn't restart again. But this aggression is a very common, serious manifestation right now. It has always been there, but recently it seems to increase. There's something, a food that is pushing people to be aggressive. Somehow or other, we have to deal with it. When we feel in ourselves for silly little things, anger comes, aggression comes. It's good to be watchful, good to be aware it is coming. And when we are aware that that is coming, not simply blindly getting pushed around by it. People usually are not aware how much they are simply being pushed by currents that are there, by reactions that come out of their own subconscious, of their own conscious mind, but also mainly by subtle currents that push people into certain emotions and then through the emotions into actions. If we learn to be a more subtly alert, we can detect them when they come. And if we detect them when they come, we can immediately start to relax and decide not to be pushed along helplessly by whatever comes through the ether, through the space. That freedom is there from moment to moment, but we have to be aware that we can exercise that freedom. People often ask me how much of the life is destiny, how much we can change, how much is simply fixed and we cannot do anything about it. Is there at all a choice? Is there at all any free will? Is there at all the possibility to influence destiny? And yes, there is. There is such a thing like destiny. Every being that comes to this world has a certain package. We need not now go into it where exactly it's coming from. And the life story can be foretold as it is most probably going to happen. And if somebody just goes through the life blindly, not learning to be aware what's going on in the present moment, then that destiny simply will unroll itself predictably. The skillful astrologer may predict the whole life story at the beginning of a life. And if we half asleep go through our life, not being aware that we are being pushed around all the time by all the influences that are there, then that very predictable story is going to manifest. But every moment we have the possibility to bring the attention back home, here, to the timelessness of the now. And here and now there is no destiny. Here and now there is no karma. Destiny, karma, cause and effect are in the current of time and space. When you bring your attention to the now, to the present, then you are stepping out of time. You're stepping out of destiny. You're stepping out of that cause and effect relationship. And every time you do so, something very beautiful flows from you into the current of events. Something that has not been predicted, that is unpredictable. And with that current, with that strength, we can change destiny if something comes along and we want to avoid it. Sometimes it may be too strong, but we can influence it. And the more you live in the present, in that timelessness, the more your attention is rooted in that, the more that influence becomes stronger than destiny, and one becomes aware of the subtle currents that direct us and has the possibility to choose. Am I going to follow that current or am I not going to follow that current? And right now, there is like a heavy load there in the atmosphere around the world that is pushing down on people, that they have the tendency to be more gloomy, more depressive, and also more aggressive. And if we are aware, if we are alert, we can counteract it. If we bring the attention to that pool of life, of creativity, of beauty in the now, then we can detect those influences that want to drive us into negativity and neutralize them and not give way to them. But the aggression seems to rise around the world. So many terrible things are happening. People are sucked in doing so many terrible things, not aware that they could, that they had that possibility to just step out of it, step back and see the influence. And from that perspective, one develops that capacity of not being sucked into it. And even if in a moment one loses it, if there is a situation, there comes an aggression, and then out of habit, the old aggression, it comes back. The reaction, aggressive reaction. And even if one loses it at that moment and reacts like this, then after that, we can become aware. After a moment like this, the tendency is there that we carry it along with us and mull it over in our heads, thinking about it and supporting the aggression that it stays on. I'm right, they are wrong. I have all the right. And, but there, when we become aware of that, at least there, we can say, no, I need not go down into that any longer. I can cut that circle of sending out aggression, getting aggression, sending out aggression, getting aggression. When two people fight with each other and then they go each one their own way, the tendency is they keep on sending each other this kind of destructive, aggressive energy. And if one of them becomes aware and steps out, then the circle disappears. And for a moment, the other may still go on, but if there is not that response on a subtle level, it quickly passes away. We have that possibility. Every moment, we do have that possibility to either just being pushed along by whatever influence comes along, or turn around, bring the attention back to that which makes the experience possible. Learn to relax in it. The more we are capable of doing so, the more we are living from that perspective, the more we can handle the situations without getting into destructive reactions. That doesn't mean we have to become weak and let anybody do anything to us. Sometimes it's perfectly valid that we say no, that we say, absolutely, I'm not letting myself being pushed like this. But we can do that without being destructive, without creating new destructive emotions, destructive aggressions that feed again that aggression that comes towards us. The intensity of the present moment doesn't make it very easy. There is such an intensity, like a struggle of forces, of light forces, of dark forces, of what we call good and evil. And that creates a tremendous intensity, and people fall much easier prey than to negative emotions. But at the same time, it's also a great opportunity if you are aware of that intensity. If you learn, in spite of all the influences that intensely come along, to be aware of that silent center, that aspect that is there in every being that is absolutely not affected by that. And we learn to live, function, think, feel from that perspective, then in this intensive period, there can be tremendous growth, tremendous development. So it is a difficult period, but at the same time, it's also a great opportunity of, within short time, really cut through a lot of our personal stuff and gain that strength to be rooted in that silent aspect that is there all the time. It is never absent. Even if we are completely unaware of it, it's still there. But we learn to get rooted in that no matter what is happening. Everything has always positive and negative aspects. And in spite of all the negativity that is manifesting all over the world, it is possible to turn this into something very beautiful, something constructive. And the more people are that are doing so and radiating that energy, the more they are supporting the possibility that also on this relative level, things can change and harmonize. We are changing our own life if we do so, and we are contributing to the possibility that there could finally return peace and harmony to this world. All right, my friends. Now I have been talking again by myself. I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to come in and say something? You are welcome to do so.
Werner, hi.
Hello, Anton.
I'm asking you about your father. Yes,
Ah,
you.
yes, yes. Were asking about my father. Uh, the context is that your father died a few recently, huh?
Yeah, at 2020, 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yes. And does that has that somehow created some difficulty in your life?
I don't feel him 5 years, and then in the ashram of Shashadri, I feel something about my father.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very painful, and it was very full of uh, emotions.
Uh-huh.
So body of pain is activating.
Right. Body pain also. Or what is it said? A lot. What did you say? A lot of pain or body pain?
Body pain,
Ah.
it's many pain for all of recent years.
Mm.
I feel now in one moment.
Ah, yes. Hmm. Is there with your father, like psychologically, things that sort of still nagging that you would have liked that they have been resolved and they couldn't be resolved because he passed away? You understand my question? I'm asking actually you.
No, too difficult English for me.
Yeah, I was asking whether you and your father, there were problems that have not been solved, and then
Yes,
he passed away, and they are still creating problems now.
yes.
Hmm.
When he died, I think there is no problem. But when I have a meditation, I find a problem in
Hmm.
myself
Hmm.
that no many
Mhm.
problems of myself.
Okay. Now you asked about my father, and I tell you in short my story with my father. And then I'll
You
come back to your story.
tell about your story.
Yes, it wasn't an easy story. the story between me and my father. I was a strange fellow growing up there in Switzerland in a village where people, mind you, my father was not better and not worse than other people. He was a good person, but he was very a normal person. And I was a strange fellow there in the midst. So there was a lot of conflict while growing up. And also then when I started with that Indian stuff, first he thought, oh, this will be just a little crazy time for some time. But I was getting worse and worse. And finally I left to India. And I know that he was totally against what I'm doing. I didn't make directly contact with him, but through my mother, I heard about his attitude, about what I'm talking in my letters about what's going on in India. And he was like amongst the people in the village, he liked to be proud of his sons. And then when somebody asked, and Werner, what is Werner doing? He always, I'm sure he was feeling totally ashamed what is going on. But for 12 years, I didn't return. Didn't show up in Switzerland. And went very strongly for my sadhana. And because of that connection, somehow it influenced him also. And then after 12 years, when I came back, already I was seeing things from quite a different perspective. And later he told me before I came, he was afraid that I'm coming back like a religious fanatic who wants to convert everybody. And then I came back and behaved very normal. Like in families blubbering away what families are blubbering away. And behaving very normal. And even when the challenge, the aggression would come from his side and previous, I would react and he would, and I would react and he would react. And so it was going to and fro, and then I would not react anymore. And then they took him totally by surprise and he opened up. I didn't expect that this could happen in our life, that he opened up and started to listen and start to uh, even have a certain appreciation for my life and what I'm doing. And for the first time, we could be sort of friends in our life. But he had then already cancer. That also helped to change a bit his outlook. Because when you are confronted with the idea anytime you can die, then somehow the value system changes a bit. But then we had a very nice time together. I went back to India, and then after a few months, he and my mother came to India. And there we used to meet for a few days, and then they went on a journey. And after he went back to Switzerland, I went back to my cave, sitting in my cave, and he had another year to live, and then he died. And before he died, my sister, a few months before, she wrote me home, the father is very bad. Don't you want to come back? And I wrote her back, I'm sitting again in my cave. I'm in the midst of something. I'm not coming to Switzerland, but I will connect with him. And from then on, every day, I connected with my father, trying to help him with his pain, physical pain, and trying to help him to relax. And it worked also on a physical level, on a mental level. I felt it's working. Then one day, somehow it felt very strange. The Although I still could feel that mental connection, somehow physically it felt very, very strange. And then somebody brought me a telegram that he has died in Switzerland. So I connected with him, and we were already basically at peace. All the old grudges that I had in my mind before about our past, they had disappeared. And I tried to uh, send him support for whatever was then going on. And then the next day, I did the same again. And already it felt like, well, previous it felt the day before, it felt very strong and appreciated that I'm connecting. But then one day later, I felt he was already so far removed from this whole story. I was feeling more like an intruder that yes, the contact could be there, but it was more the feeling that why is the fellow still coming? And so I wished him well and for whatever is going to happen and let him go and send him on his way. And basically that was the end of our story. The thing is, we had, at least in my mind, I had resolved whatever difficulties that have been there because of our not easy story. When I grow up, there were previous a lot of aggressions there in me. And in my meditation, I've learned to see them and let them go. And so I, nothing of that remained. And I could full-heartedly with send him the best wishes and the best energies to go on his journey, because this chapter of father and son was finished. All right, that's my story. It was nice that at the end of his life we could have a harmony. Previous it was not easy. Now I'm coming back to your story. That if there are things in your mind that are there, that with strong emotional reactions with your father, when you remember things that have happened between you and your father, and strong emotion comes, maybe aggression comes, then learn to look at it and never mind the story, never mind whether you were right or he was right, or who was doing what, but just see the story, see the memory, let the emotions come, but see how it is affecting you right now, here, now, how it is affecting your experience physically, energetically, and learn to let go, learn to relax. And then it's cleaning out all whatever can be there in connection with that story. And then at the end, there is just a sense of, friendship. After all, you have spent a lot of time together. That gives an energetic connection. And then let him go wherever he is, whatever whatever happens to that consciousness that has been manifesting as your father, let it go to play the role, whatever it has to play now, wherever they are. It's good if we have still grudges, if stuff is sticking in our mind that comes up and sometimes disturbs us, that we somehow learn to deal with it in such a way that they disappear. And then even if such a moment comes, like you had there in Sheshadri, that suddenly you feel again a strong connection, then there will be no more pain. Nobody dies. Nobody is born. This is just a momentary projection in this time-space. Part of us projecting into this, playing a bit crazy for some time, going through a story, and then withdrawing again.
Love is also game. Yes? Feeling of love.
Feeling love or falling in love.
Falling in love, it's a game.
Yes.
And feeling love, feeling the sense of love. It's also a game.
It depends what you mean with love. There are different things that are called love. There is the emotion, love. And of course, an emotion is like all emotions, they keep on changing all the time. They come, they have in waves. They come, has peaks, it goes. One tries, and when one falls in love, it's mainly emotional. And then one tries to hold on to that emotion, but that emotion also changes. Invariably, emotions always change. But there is also something else that is also called love, that is not an emotion, that is just that awareness that everything is connected, that nothing is separate. And on the relative manifested level, if somebody loves emotionally somebody for and has a strong energetic connection, then it's possible that the heart is opening and the other part, the real love, can come through. That one feels that connection, that we are not separate. And that is not the game. The emotion love certainly is a game. It's we're taking it very serious, but it's a game. And it's changing all the time. And if one stays on the emotional level, it always it comes, it has peaks, it's heaven, it's paradise, and then it's crumbling, and then it's doing all the other things. And if we are stuck on that emotional level, it's always up and down and up and down, sometimes wonderful, sometimes terrible. That is a game. It's good to see that it is a game. Then it's not really so much love, but attachment. That we think somebody needs to be there, that I'm happier. But once you really start to love, you become also aware you are independent. You yourself are the source of happiness. You are complete in yourself. And then you can love without expectation, without expecting that another person should make you happy. But the emotional level, certainly, it's a game. The whole world is a game. The real love is not a game. It's that basic awareness that everything is connected. Nothing is separate. Nothing is apart from that.
But feeling is the game.
Feeling, yes, it changes all the time. It has its place in the manifestation, but it never is steady. It's always influenced, it's always changing. People hear from the tradition you should learn to love everybody the same. But then they try to love everybody the same emotionally, the feeling love. And it's not possible. It's the feelings, the emotions, they change all the time. But one can find that love That is not a feeling, that is not an emotion, that is one basic element, one basic aspect of manifestation, of the expression of self. That awareness that everything is ever connected, nothing is apart.
I feel now that everything is connected, and it's like as one. I feel it is one, but it is feeling. What a difference between a feeling of connection of it and real sense, maybe real.
Mm.
What is real? Feeling is not real. And if I feel it is connected, and I uh, feel love, it's only feeling. Maybe it's not real. It's only my hormonal system.
But that feeling is opening the way. That feeling is opening the heart, that you become aware that love is there all the time and not depending on a feeling. Sometimes then the feeling comes strongly in manifestation, is directed somewhere, and then the feeling may ebb, but that awareness of everything is connected still remains. And then that love never really goes. There's nothing wrong with the feeling. That feeling you express, that you feel everything is connected. And then you just observe how this feeling is manifesting. And you relax in it. And that very relaxing will pull your attention deeper, that you go to the root of it, to that awareness where love and consciousness and energy come together, to that base of the manifestation. So the feeling that everything is connected is not wrong, but it's good not to stop there. It's not false. It, it helps us to open up, that we can, with the help of that feeling, come to the root of it, to that real awareness, nothing is apart. Because I say emotions and feelings, they are a game, that doesn't mean that I say they are wrong. They belong to the human experience, make the human experience also a bit juicier. But we should not be stuck on that level. Be aware this is a level, it's part of the whole human experience, and we can use that level. We can use the emotions, we can use the feelings to open up in the right direction, to be aware of that which is prior to emotions, prior to feelings. And then there are feelings that are destructive. And those feelings we can learn to detach from them, not being pushed along by them, not to open up to destruction, but open up to unity. Shall we leave it at that for today?
I am in it. I am that.
Very good.
Can you feel? Yeah. Can you feel of my feeling?
A feeling that you are at ease, at peace right now, very good. Yes.
If somebody feel unity, So it's a feeling of others, yes?
Right, it starts usually because our attention is on that level as a feeling, but then we can also be aware of it consciously, feel the feeling and relax in that conscious feeling and think back to the source that is prior, that is before the feeling. All right, Anton, Andreas is coming in. So let's stop our conversation here with that. Hari Om. Hari Om. Okay, Andreas?
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, no, it's fine.
Okay. Um, yeah. Is the sound okay? Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well.
Okay. Because last time when I listened to the recording, the sound quality of my speech was very poor.
Mm.
So I ordered a new earphones with to make it better, but they didn't arrive.
I see.
Uh, they
But
were, I mean,
I can hear you well.
okay. The
Yeah.
problem is Amazon told me they have delivered it and it's
Mhm.
in my letterbox in for the letters outside, but it wasn't there. And
Uh-huh.
that was yesterday and it made me very angry. I got felt betrayed. It's already happening for the third time, basically.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I know that it's just a minor petty thing, but I couldn't step down from my anger. Yeah,
Mhm.
I called them, and I mean, I managed not to be impolite to the person at the phone, but I was very basically pissed. Yeah, that I thought the delivery man didn't take enough care. He misplaced it in another letterbox, or someone stole it. I don't know, but it's like, and I was always aware that this I'm taking this too serious, but I
Mhm.
couldn't calm down.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. You have a, how do I connect then to something else?
Right. When you become a, most of this stuff is usually happening without our being really aware of it. And as long as you are not aware of it, as long as you are not remembering that you could maybe react differently, nothing can be done. But once you remember, once you think, okay, there I'm going again, making a big fuss about something that is not necessarily worth to make a big fuss, then you don't have to try to block it, to cut it. Then okay, then accept there. I'm again there. There is anger. Then let it be there. But instead of keeping the attention hooked to what brought the anger about, instead of thinking of them what mistake that they did, then you bring your attention back to your experience of feeling angry here right now. And experience it. Don't push it away. Okay, here I am, angry. And look what it is doing to you, but how it is influencing your body, how it is influencing your energies, how we have the tendency to get all cramped up physically and energetically in anger. And seeing that, then you start to relax. And then the anger also will disappear, or it may even transform in something very powerful and beautiful. Anger is a force, and as long as it's just let it out unchecked, it's destructive. But then when you become aware, that energy, anger is there, and instead of getting sucked into that destructive current, you just accept, okay, it's there. And you see what it is doing, how it is influencing your experience right now. And instead of kindling it with the thought, but I'm right, they made a mistake, I have all the right to be angry, then it has nothing to do whether you have the right or not. It's just that there's an experience that you can use much better than just puff your energy out into space. that that very energy that brings about the anger, if you start to relax, it can turn around and push your attention very deep into your own resources and turn into something beautiful, something joyous, something radiant.
What is this turning around exactly?
That the attention is withdrawn from the idea what brought the anger about, from the situation, that they did again that thing. They made a blunder, have all the right of being angry, to just bring it back to the immediate experience of anger. There you have already turned your attention around. Then you come to the present. And instead of pulling it again in the story and turning it around and making it, the emotion bigger and destructive, you just watch that emotion. You just watch that feeling and learn to relax. And that the very relaxing will transform that energy from a destructive energy in something beautiful, something radiant, that is good for you and everybody around you.
Actually, at that day, the anger didn't feel so bad because I was feeling a little bit low that day with energy. And yeah, the anger gave me some energy. Suddenly I was like awake and more there was some energy then there. But yeah, it also felt a little bit destructive or bad.
Right. As long as we are hanging on to then that story on that level and argue in our head with other people what they did is wrong, and accusing them in our mind and justifying our reaction, then that energy is simply like we puff it out into space. And if you learn then, instead of fixing the attention to the story that brought it about, just bring it back to the experience of the emotion at that moment. And then it will become even much more energizing than what you. Yes, you're right. If somebody is a bit low and then gets angry, you feel much more energized. But still, most of that energy, we are just puffing out into space. If we keep on the story in the mind, turning it around, if at that time you are capable of turning your attention, then actually that energy can be extremely helpful to go deeper into your self-discovery.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari-Om.
Hi.
Hari-Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come and say something? As I said before to Anton, the emotions, they are not wrong, but they are not real in the sense that they don't stay. They are real momentarily as an experience. And as long as we are manifesting in the human form, the whole range of emotions is there as a possibility. They can come as a reaction to thoughts we have. They can come as a reaction to situations that we are experiencing. They can come somewhere bubbling out of the subconscious without quite knowing where they're coming from. And then they are influenced by whatever is going on in the world. We are connected to everything that is happening. So our emotions are also connected and influenced by that. There is nothing wrong with emotions. What is wrong that we are hooking into them, that we are identifying with the emotions, and then sometimes we have the tendency to make an emotion bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger out of proportion, and then it can become very destructive and painful. But if we learn to see the emotion on their level for what they are enriching the human experience. They come, there is a wave that comes and goes. And we can use the emotions in both directions, to make our experience smaller and more destructive, or we can use the emotions to help the attention come back to the source. If we deal with emotions in a constructive, positive way, then they are a helpful energy. Like Andrea said, he was a bit down and then he got angry and felt energized. And that very fact that the emotion is energizing our present experience, we can consciously use in a constructive way. But when we really, sincerely want truth, if we really, sincerely want reality, then even if it becomes emotional, then we can use that emotion to strengthen that intent, not to waste our time, not to waste our energy, but to use them from moment to moment, use it as a possibility to become more self-aware. And there, the emotions that make us long for truth, the emotions that make us long for peace, the emotions that make us long for fulfillment, for being really, totally, profoundly happy. That the emotions can be very creatively used to help us long, to go deeper in our own understanding, in our own experience, becoming self-aware, becoming aware of the essence of that which is. Nevertheless, emotions change all the time. They come, they go. We cannot hold them. When they are there, we can use them wisely. And then we let them go again. We need not hold an emotion. That's the thing. Though there are the emotions we like, And when they come, we try to hold them, and they go in spite of that. That makes us unhappy. And there are the emotions we don't like, and we don't want them to come. And when they come in spite of that, that also makes us unhappy. So we learn to accept emotions as they come along. When they come, they are there. We see them, we may use them, and we let them go as they go. Then the emotional level is absolutely not a problem. You are welcome, Andreas Beck. Nobody else has want to say anything.
Yeah, that's what I guessed. Um, what about the underlying attitudes of that? I mean, when I was angry, I thought I should be more have more equanimity. That I shouldn't. I mean, I suspect that my anger is fooled by the one time the fact that I think the delivery man should be more cautious. Yeah, he should, and that's one aspect. And the other aspect is that yeah, if things go wrong this way, that I, I lack maybe the fundamental no experience or knowledge that things like that can happen and shit happens in life, and you should just like be accepted this way. But this, yeah, but I'm far away from it. So I'm, yeah, if something goes wrong this way, then I think, no, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, especially in Germany, things should work out very well. And this is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm, yeah, like not very well prepared to deal with bigger disasters. So yeah.
Yes, that's what we are learning. When we start the spiritual journey consciously and maybe connect with some tradition or another tradition, invariably there comes that whole list of what we should and what we should not, what we should do and what we should not do, what we should feel and what we should not feel, what we should think and what we should not think. And it's not wrong, it's pointing in the right direction. But after that, it's not more so a question what we should or should not. It's not ultimate, after all, it's not a question of morality, that we should become a good person and the progress means I'm getting slowly holier and holier. That is the right way. What is needed is that we become more conscious. What is needed is that we are awake, alert. And then when such a thing happens, that we react and we think, oh, it would not be necessary to react, then not waste more energy that, oh, I should not be like this, and then start to basically scold ourselves, berate ourselves, and that it's not right how I'm behaving or reacting, but then just see what's going on and relax. And then let the emotions take care of themselves, arrange themselves. If we don't feed them, they don't remain. And even if for a moment there is irritation, if we don't hold on to it, it simply passes and doesn't leave a trace back. It's simply when we hold on to it, hold on to the story, think around it, and then the emotions also get bigger, and then it's becoming problematic. Otherwise, they come, they go, not a problem at all. So Even if we then see, okay, I have again overreacted and I'm overreacting now, I'm still carrying in the head when I shouldn't, then becoming aware of that is important. But then we don't need to waste more energy starting to give us a sermon and say, this is no good. This is no good, Andreas, after all this time to react like this, but simply accept, okay, it's there. So then I'm dealing with it in a constructive way. And what is the constructive way to deal with it? Not to be pushed around by them, not to hook into it and to keep them and make them bigger, but then simply to watch what they are doing and learn to relax in it. And then the emotional reaction is already not more a problem. It will dissipate and you are coming stronger out of the experience.
Okay, I got that. I mean, it means basically accepting myself the way I am, even if I get upset about such minor things.
Right. Not in the sense of some people say that's how I am. I cannot do anything about it. I simply am like this. But accept this is the present situation. There is no use in resisting the fact of the present situation. I have obviously this reaction as a habit still comes and has the tendency to create problems. But when I see that, then I can accept, okay, that tendency is still strong, but I'm not more buying into it. So accepting the way you are, but not in a defeated way and say, okay, that's how it is. I cannot do anything. You can accept and then still you can put your intent in the current that, okay, certain traits, they are fine. They don't disturb me. But certain traits that come again and again, they are disturbing. They're eating up unnecessarily my life force. And I can learn not to do that anymore.
Okay, at least mentally, I think I understand it. Even if you have to repeat it to me 1,000 times, it takes much longer to put it into action and see it in the right place. But a question that arose in this circumstance is like, I think like a lot of Zen masters and teachers, I think they're very good at being in the present moment. But in the Zen tradition, when it came to the West, there have been some scandals, for example, about sexual abuse of female practitioners. And so, isn't it necessary to have some moral standards there too, and not just? I mean, the question is like, is it? It's not just enough to be just present, and then, or some Zen masters had alcohol problems. So, and this doesn't happen so much in another Buddhist tradition, Theravada, Vipassana, where they put much more emphasis on moral conduct.
Mm-hmm. The moral conduct teaching is a guideline so that we are not unnecessarily throwing energies away, that we are not unnecessarily hurting living beings, because by doing so, we are also throwing away the energy and hurting ourselves. The more you are in harmony with yourself, the more you are at ease, at peace, the less you need any moral rules, because you simply don't go out and hurt living beings unnecessarily if you are in harmony with yourself. It doesn't make sense. You don't need any rule that tells you not to do this and not to do that, but you don't abuse people for your own pleasure if they are suffering after that.
It's always hard to get to wrap my head around the fact that some teachers did that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and were obviously hurting other people.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, I mean, better they don't do that, right? But but maybe some of those people, they were not feeling hurt. And simply when it came out, then others made a big story about it. I don't know. I'm not saying it was like that. But you, from outside, you cannot necessarily always see what the situation really is.
Yeah, in some cases, this might be true that, but in other cases, it felt that people got pressurized into the situations,
Right, right. And
like
if a teacher is misusing the position like this, then that means that teacher has his own stuff to work out. Officially maybe called a master by the tradition, but that doesn't prevent them that they are on the way and have to learn and have to work out their own stuff. If somebody is in harmony, is not going out and hurts people unnecessarily. People sometimes may feel hurt if you put the finger on their self-importance, then they don't like it and feel hurt, but not for one's own amusement.
Chögyam Trungpa is another example of this with his alcohol problems. And I think there was some, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there were some stories about sexual abusement too.
Let's not go into personal stories here, no?
Okay.
Right. But whether a master is drinking or not drinking, that does not necessarily give you a level of knowledge where he really is at.
Yeah, that's a difficult point because he has so many, for example, very good students that think very highly of him. So this is always confusing.
Yes. So what counts for you is that if that somehow is not fitting in your picture, then you better don't have anything to do with that school, with that master, with whatever is happening. For other people, this may not feel terrible that the master is drinking, and then they still may get out there what they need at that point. But that doesn't mean that you should think maybe I'm missing something, so maybe I should, in spite of that, if, as a rule of thumb, if a teacher appears and behaves in a way that you can accept and that fits, and you feel there is a harmony between their life, between their behavior and what they are teaching, and then you feel attracted, then it's fine. And if that harmony is not there, then you can also just say, okay, it's not for me. I don't feel attracted, so then you find your way around it. And if other people, in spite of that, feel attracted, then that's their story. And maybe they need that place and whatever comes along with it. Yes. All right. Hari Om. Is there anyone else who would like to come in? Okay, let's stay with that subject for a little longer. Here, like around Arunachala, in the winter season, people come from all over the world, so it has developed a bit like into a spiritual supermarket in the winter time. So many teachers come with their students, and then It happened repeatedly that people asked me, what do you think about this teacher? What do you think about that teacher? And I'm categorically, definitely in the satsang refuse to answer that. But what I'm telling people is what I told Andreas just now. If basically, whether you feel like going to a teacher, whether you feel attracted by teaching or not, let your heart decide. Even if people come and say, oh, there is somebody and there is so much power and you have wonderful experiences, and somebody feels, no, there is something that somehow totally disturbs. One should never have to be afraid, oh, maybe I'm missing a chance. But follow your heart. If you feel attracted, if you feel the scene you are connecting with is, you can accept it as it is. You can accept that there is something beautiful there, and I can benefit by connecting with that, then it's good to go. But if there is more that feeling, something is just not right for me, then we need not go and figure out the details and stand in judgment, but just accept, okay, this is not for me. I need not go there. I need not connect with that. And even if other people say it's so fantastic and they have so great experience, and it's only your resistance, and because somebody came, sometimes people came and said, somebody else said, and I don't want to go. And they say, it's only your ego and your resistance there. You can't let them talk. And you listen to your own heart. What matters on the spiritual way is that we are pure in our intention. What matters is that we really want truth and not make spirituality into a new trip where we can play our power games, where we can have another career, but that we want the truth, that we want reality. And if that intention is pure, we will be led at the right place. And even if the teacher has their own stuff to work out at that place, at that time, we may get what we need at that place, at that time, for our next step. And if that intention is pure, it will lead you to the right place, and it will lead you away when it's time to move on. And then we hear all kinds of stories. It's full and full and full of stories. And whatever doesn't feel right to you, then never mind about it. You just find your way and connect with that which really feels right and helps you. And if other people go another way, then they have to go their way and make their experiences. If their intention is pure, they will get where they go what they need at the time to make their next step. And if their intention is pure and it's necessary, they will have the necessary impulse to move on, not to be stuck in a situation that may have brought something, but then it doesn't help any longer. Your ultimate teacher is your own self. You have all the knowledge, you have all the wisdom in your own self. Connect with that teacher, with that ultimate teacher, as good as you can. And then that ultimate teacher may bring you a human teacher in your way that gives you at that moment what you need. Basically, a teacher's job is always to point back to the disciple, to the student, the look, whatever you are looking for, it's already here, it's already in you. It's not somewhere outside there. We just have to look in the right direction. And if that is happening, if the teacher with all kinds of crazy games they may play achieves that, then that teaching has been helpful. The whole spiritual scene is so huge now. There is no need and no time to go around and look which one is good, which one is bad, which one is not so good, which one is better. Follow your heart, and it leads you on the right place. And don't worry about all that is happening in the scene which you cannot approve of. Then you know, okay, this is not for me, so I'm going around it. Again, I'm asking, there's some more time if we want. Is there anybody who would like to come and say something? Hildegard, you have to unmute if you want to come in.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for the issue you treated now and with the other members. I have exactly this story with a Vedanta master here in Germany, and I had a very good time. And he was a good Vedanta teacher, and I had good experiences, and I learned much. And I had the story of a change with this master. He in the Corona time, it was very difficult to give satsang here in Germany. It has been very restrictive, and so he started to deal with conspiracy theories, and the government should be destroyed, and he said us to believe all these theories he got from the internet, from YouTube, and so I felt it's gone. I have to go. It's not the truth. He is reflecting to us, and it was a very hard time. But for me, it was correct. I felt it was correct. I don't want to hear conspiracy theories. I want to feel the truth and the access to the truth. And so one thing was very a little bit sad for me. I was a musician in the satsang, and it was difficult in this way. But so I was very grateful what you said, and thank you.
Right. And somehow, if you felt truly in your heart it's time to move on, then it's time to move on, and then you need not have after that doubts and second thoughts and the fear. What usually people have, the fear after that they are missing chances.
Yes,
the chance to connect with reality is always here now. And if a connection with somebody kindles that and helps that and supports that, then it's very fine. But if it doesn't do so, then it's also okay to move on.
I heard previous times that's an Indian prediction or Indian rule not to once when I found a spiritual teacher, a guru, a master, I have to continue for a lifetime. And I never believed that. I feel it's not good to run away when it becomes difficult or the master says things I can't accept first. But this rule, it's not for me, I think.
It's not for you. Right. Every teaching has its positive and negative aspects. And as you said, right, that doesn't mean when I say that when you really profoundly feel it's time to move on, then it's time to move on. That when you are confronted with a teacher and the teacher is behaving in ways that are not so pleasant, that immediately one runs away, because teachers do behave in ways that is not so pleasant and put the finger where it hurts.
Yes, I accept this.
But still, I mean, before I came to Amma, I had a whole line of teachers. And I used to project into them a lot. But they came with an innocent heart, and whatever I learned from them, that because of that openness I learned, and then somehow because the intention was really there to connect with truth, to find the essence, then somehow the circumstances by itself arranged themselves that it was time to move on. And when I look back, then I don't look back with a feeling, I was projecting stuff in them, and after all, they have their own stuff to work out. But I'm looking back with gratitude what I got from them at that time, but with no regret that I have been moving on when it was time. There are very few real masters of whom you could say, okay, if you are with such a master, then you better don't go somewhere else, but just stick it out. So this is the Indian tradition has the tendency, and it helps people not to run away immediately when it's getting uncomfortable, but then people who believe that may also hang out in places where they better would have moved on. Every teaching has its positive and negative aspect. And we have to learn to listen to our heart. Not our head that says, oh, I don't like that, I don't like so I'm going somewhere else. Or people who are running from one teacher to another who think the more I'm going to teachers, the more I can pick up a little here and there, and then at the end is only confusion. But if one is sincere, really wants truth, then you can learn and more rely on your heart. And when your heart really tells you, okay, this chapter seems to come to a close, then you have the right to go move on without having bad feelings about it, without having a bad conscience about it. But and then one can learn to let go whatever has brought about that we moved on, and not dwell on that and be angry about it, but rather have a sense of gratitude for whatever we have gotten. Then that still is enriching your experience right now.
In me, I feel a rest of hanging on and a rest of anger in this. Sometimes I feel it. Sometimes it's clear and it's good. A decision is good, but there's a rest of hanging and regretting and accusement, and there's a rest.
Yeah.
in me.
But you see it, and then you see it and objectify it, and gradually it will disappear.
I think so.
Yes, yes. Yes.
So,
Shall we leave it at that?
yes.
Okay. I wish you
Thank you
well.
very much.
You're welcome. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Hari Om. We started the satsang telling that how the neighbors had been screaming at each other. How much influence is there for negativity, for anger, for destructive emotions, thoughts, and behavior? And then somehow we have again and again talked about emotions. And let us be that which stays, that emotions are not wrong, influences are not wrong. Emotions can be used to make us stronger, to open up in the right direction. Influences that are not very pleasant often, they can be used as challenges to become more self-aware. If we live like this from moment to moment, from day to day, then even in a time where it's intense, where there is a lot of stuff going on, and one could easily slip into the depressive mood and think, where is this going to end? If you look what's going on, but instead of that, we accept the situation as it is, as a possibility to learn, to grow, that every moment, whatever we are meeting, is a challenge, that we learn to become more self-aware. And if we go like this, then even in a time like this, actually, especially in a time like this, we can very quickly cut through a lot of stuff that we have been carrying on, come back home to the truth, to that which we really are. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.